Morning, everybody, and welcome to another Mindset Mastermind. 30 minutes and content that we are working now is the attributes. And we've moved out of the grit section into really the mind section and mind attributes. And so before we make that shift, I want to spend just a few moments on two topics. One, and I didn't mention it yesterday, in this mind section, we're actually going to do 2 chapters at a time. So if you only read one, that's fine. I read both the first 2, and that's what we'll be talking about today and adding some of that content in, which means we'll be done with the 4 chapters of the mind components here Thursday. So just make sure you're caught up on that. And then 2, back to grit. Because, I'm leading this room. I'm leading this organization. We're having a lot of fun together. And I just want to be absolutely authentic, transparent today because it happens to all of us. I've been getting the crap kicked out of me. Things have not been going as planned. And especially this morning, how much did I really want to be here? Right? And yet grit means we show up anyway. This is how you get to exercise and build that grit. Think about it. We've had 30 plus people in this room on Monday, and we have 17 here today. So you are the guys with grit, and I just want to challenge you in those moments. It's not something you want to do. That's the time to exercise that muscle and do it anyway. How much do you want to think I want to have conversations all day today versus,
exhausting
play in Puerto Rico, right?
Right.
Today, I'm going to double down on conversations. I'm really going to lean into it. I'm going to make sure that it happens at a high level to continue to exercise and build those grit muscles. So today we're talking about the mental acuity attributes. We are talking about situational awareness, the art of vigilance, and compartmentalization wired for efficiency. And as always, guys, it's your room first. I think maybe, just maybe, I heard client's voice kicking in there a little bit. So client, kick us off. What do you got to say? And then Carrie, you're next up.
It was just a quick comment about what you said. If you look at my comments, I said, this room is where I come because the crap gets kicked out of me. This is my safe place. This is the place where I go through things and I consider you guys absolute friends. This is my safe spot. So when my life goes nuts, I know at 9 o'clock, I can be here and get kind of back leveled. So that's why I'm here. I can't speak to anyone else.
Fantastic. And I love that. And let's just keep on doing it. By the way, let's inspire others to do the same so they can learn that this is a place they can work that muscle. Carrie, did you have your mic hot because you wanted to chat?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, man. That's totally okay. I always like at least giving those that have their mic on that opportunity. So who else in the room has something from the content that you want to kick off the conversation with?
Just like the attributes play off each other, so do we. It is really encouraging to hear what other people see in this, because I don't see that. And when they say that, I have new ahas that I wouldn't have had I not been here. And just reading the book by myself, I would have never got that. So the attributes play off each other, so do we. And in this room, it is a big, I don't even know how to describe this. This is a real encouragement. And like Russ says, even as much of an encouragement as this is, sometimes it's hard to get here. Sometimes for the first 10 minutes, I'm like, I would rather be somewhere else. But thanks for being here. And let's continue building each other.
Super.
So I just want to ask a question. I put it in the comments. Is situational awareness a type of vision? Is it a type of, does it teach us vision. You know, we heard the term vision as being able to see things that others don't. Is that what situational awareness is in a nutshell? What do you guys think about that?
I wondered that same thing when they talked about perception shrinking, like our peripheral vision going away, getting tunnel vision. Like, what other context does that apply to? Does it apply to what we hear? Does it apply to, you know, how we're showing up in this meeting? Does it apply to, you know, how we feel, or, you know, other modalities? I don't know if that's exactly what you were asking, but you triggered me, client.
Well, I would say it's vision. Yes, you're seeing something, but it's in the present moment. I feel more vision is like in the future, your goal, and situational awareness is more what are you intaking by what is in this present moment, or why you're intaking the information that's coming at you, and how you're processing it in true time. So like it mentions if your kid goes on a subway and all of a sudden you're like frantic, it says like in that moment he sees someone that has in uniform, and that has a pattern. The situational awareness is a pattern. So you see, they recognize a uniform means authority. So that's what situational awareness is that I'm taking aware out of it, is what are you taking from that moment? Because some people might freeze, going back to the prior, I forget, was it courage, or you freeze, or you go or forward with it. So that's where I'm getting it. More vision, client, from where I'm seeing it's more like, what do you envision, right? Like seeing it in the future, as this situation awareness is more about the present, or whatever's going on right now.
These
I don't know if that-
chapters, yeah, these chapters in here are very interesting because they're definitely stretching our thinking, and it's getting a little more ethereal, as well as bringing in some hardcore science to it. So here's where I would like you, going to the author's writing, think about this. And Justin, you brought in a great point of that laser focus. These attributes are our natural responses, if you will. There are wiring showing up, not our skill set. These are the pieces of the mindset. And so on this situational awareness piece, there is this, spectrum, like all of the attributes, that really goes from I don't give a rat's ass to hyper focus. By the way, those same things can tie into I feel totally safe and I'm in ultimate fear. So for Justin, for example, when he was talking about that hyper focus and losing your peripheral vision, when your physiology kicks into fear, whatever it is, you get hyper focused. One of my favorite elements of this is someone who is a historical agent who knows what to do when all of a sudden they have no closings, they have nothing pending, and they're behind on their bills. They hyper focus on lead gen. For many people right now in the real estate space, they're running into that fear, and so they're hyper focusing on what's the job. Am I going to go get a different employment and get in a different industry? Am I going to go drive Uber at night? That the hyper focus goes into something of that sort. So for the situational awareness attribute, and our development of that is to, again, keep our emotions between the lines, keep our attributes between the lines. Allow ourselves to actually have an idea of what's going on in any situation so we don't bounce into that total fear. And so maybe we don't stay in that habit of total bliss. that we land in that middle space. And it's interesting because for me, the situational awareness is expanding our vision and being a little more aware. And I know in a later chapter, we're going to talk about focus and our ability to choose in a moment to really get into stuff. So let's just talk about, and I'd love to hear somebody else bring in on this mental acuity vigilance, chapter 8, some of the elements of what the author brought in. So I'm going to lead with one just because it's in here, because it's one of my favorites on this piece and expanding it. He talks about how many bits of information per second are coming at you through every one of your senses. Over 11 million bits of information every second is getting routed through your brain, through your vision, through your ears, through your eyes, through your taste. And that back part of your brain, the amygdala, is filtering that stuff out to only what's important. Taking that, how many bits of second you allow through, and opening it up a little bit is what's going to improve your situational awareness. One of my great examples I would always do in the room right now, as we're sitting here, we're going to do it today. How is your left big toe feeling? By the way, has your left big toe been there all day? Has it been processing feeling all day? Yet your amygdala said it's not important in the moment. And yet now as I've turned on your RAS, part of that amygdala, to paying attention, you're not going, yeah, it is there, feels fine, whatever sensations are there. And situational awareness will open up automatically the moment you walk through the house and accidentally hit the table leg with that big toe. How many have had that RAS turn on in that moment, right? Okay. Now, if your situational awareness was a little bit better, you would have acknowledged the table leg before you crushed either the big or little toe on that thing. Hopefully that's a great example. Now, Daryl, I saw your mic on earlier. What have you got to add to the conversation, brother?
Good morning. I was just going to say what I thought was most interesting is kind of ties into what you were saying, Coach. Like, our situational awareness is like a background program. It's like a subconscious thing. But what I found most interesting was that you could actually tap into situational awareness and be intentional about it. Like what you were saying, like watching out for that coffee table, like looking for the sedan that's driving down the road that you don't necessarily drive, looking for things that are outside of the realm of what you would subconsciously think about. And like you were saying, that just kind of ties into it, is it flexes that muscle of situational awareness so that you're not only aware of what's going on subconsciously, or unaware rather, but that you're being intentional about the things that are around you and how you respond to them.
That is
hold on one sec, client. Your subconscious drops into natural patterns.
Right.
We learned that in this mental acuity opening. So you fall into those natural patterns and your vigilance goes away. And what Daryl's talking about right from page 93, deliberate vigilance practiced often enough will eventually become natural vigilance. So making a mental choice to start taking stock of what's around you, even in the moment.
It's a choice.
Choosing these things on a regular basis to do that is going to strengthen this muscle. Client, what do you got?
You just absolutely stole my thunder. That's exactly what I was about to say. I don't need to say it. You said it.
Well, go to the second paragraph, or the last paragraph on 93.
To exercise your IT cortex, pull the headphones out of your ears, put away your smartphone, and start paying attention to the world around you. It's interesting that you say that. My son just got a job. I guess I shouldn't say who he got a job with, but he got a job. And one of the things I told him is, you're going to be working with a lot of military people. The way you walk through the house and you're, if everything's not neat, I'm telling you, situationally, you're going to have to correct that, because the people you are now working with understand that. You have to raise it. And he's like, how do I do that? by opening up your eyes and literally looking at what's happening around you. It is something that we can turn off and turn on. When I'm on vacation, I'm not really hyper aware. I'm just chilling. But if I'm walking through a dark street, I turn it on. And that repetition that I think that was mentioned is part of that practice that you said of turning it on. And guys can do this on the work basis. Girls do this when they're in situations that they fear. We all can do it. It's that practicing that is the essential part. And I wrote in that repetition. That repetition is where that's critical.
Well, and I love on this because it tied into the next chapter as well on compartmentalization. He talked about something he does intentionally, which, by the way, client could tie into vacation as well. If you want to exercise and build these muscles, you've got to get yourself in new and dynamic but safe situations and environments to give your brain a workout. This is one of the reasons I love riding the subway in New York City, is what he went into, and how he makes a choice sometimes to, I'm going to go to Grand Central Station. I'm going to pick a random point like J Street in Brooklyn, and let's go and let's be situationally aware, and at the same time work on what we actually compartmentalize and build patterns around. And just so much as that, so for vacation, if you started every vacation with the airport becoming situationally aware, I'm going to do that tomorrow when I go to the airport, because how many times at the airport are we earbuds in or cell phone down and not really just paying attention and being aware? By the way, as you do this, I'm going to tell you right now, once a week, if you do this, you will hear a real estate conversation. Mark my words, because you're turning your RAS on to be open to more. And all of a sudden, you're going to hear or see someone in a real estate space that you could then, oh my goodness, get out of your comfort zone and go initiate a conversation and watch what happens. What else you guys have?
I would say I think it's interesting that that you picked the big toe. It reminds me of the movie Stripes, where they're talking about the sergeant, like he's the big toe, and the whole thing is the foot. And combine that with the 5-year-old getting lost on the train. It's an interesting time that we're in, because I don't remember going out on my own at 5, but at 6 I would ride my bicycle like a mile to town or whatever. And I think no phones, no whatever. So it's like it's completely different the way that we look at things. The idea of a 5-year-old getting on a train going to town is like horrifying. But I think when we look at situations, we need to look at it in the context. Are we the parent? Are we the kid that needs to learn how to be situationally aware? Because otherwise you're going to end up on the train without your parents. Or are we the person in a uniform? I think there's just different lenses to look at this through. I got from that uniform thing too. I put in my notes in my book, like when that is wrong or doesn't make sense. Like go to the grocery store and you're looking for whatever, and you see the person stocking the shelf, and I go up to them because they're stocking the shelf, like they should know. And I ask, hey, do you know where the butter is or whatever? And they're like, oh, I don't work here. I'm just stocking chips. That's like, things aren't always what they appear. So
they're a subcontractor. They represent the vendor, and that's their only piece. And you're absolutely right. As our brain runs and compartmentalized, uniform equals information in that context. in the context of grocery, apron equals information. And yet now we've just learned and adjusted that compartmentalization to be something else. And Justin, we definitely need our own Sergeant Hulka, don't we? To be our big toe. Great reference, great movie. What else you guys have? Boy, mics are hot. Caesar, Doug, Client. In that order, go.
I get just to reinforce the situational awareness. It says in page 90, it's about how many patterns we recognize, catalog, and put into context. So this could come into when he was saying, I believe something was like riding the bike, and some of the clouds were coming through. You start recognizing, oh, it's gonna rain. I remember like my parents, like a long time ago, were like, oh, it looks like it's gonna rain. And I was like, how do they know that? You know, like the clouds, or at night they would say, oh, look how cloudy it is. And it's just like when you're younger, you haven't seen those patterns enough, so you don't recognize as you get older. And this is what we could also tie into our business when our people start asking certain questions. You know that pattern is going to get to a certain question of commission or closing it, or just, you know, that's also about tying that situational awareness about those patterns as well, about the questions that are coming, and we can address them without even then them having to ask that questions, because you know that situational awareness is and that pattern if they're asking, or if they have a certain body positioning, you know what's happening. So I just want to tie that's how many patterns we recognize, catalog, and put into context.
Well, I love that you kind of brought in this skill set, situational awareness piece and how they go hand in hand. And in any industry, in anything, you've got to have both to play at a high level. And really building that situational awareness by getting in different situations, different transactions, absolutely is going to build that in every aspect of your business. So in lead gen, that's why I always talk quantity over quality. You're building situational awareness on those conversations, even when they go horribly awry. So it's another great piece from the content that we can celebrate and acknowledge. That's what we're doing. I want to give you, by the way, my greatest example that came in this moment, Caesar, because my son is this close to going off to the airlines. Imagine for a moment you had a pilot who had every skill, private, commercial, instrument. They got all the skills, yet they had no situational awareness. How comfortable would you feel getting on that aircraft? They got all the skills. They know what they're doing. And you would never get on that plane. Think about the same thing for your consumers. You constantly, and I'm using you ubiquitously, call Coach Russ and say, tell me what to do. Tell me how to handle this situation. What should I say? All skill stuff, and I love that. Yet we keep building skills without getting in the game and building situational awareness. That's why I'm on you all day, every day. Focus on lead gen, lead follow-up, go on appointments, negotiate contracts. If each one of you did that 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week for just the next 6 months, you would be light years ahead of every other agent in the marketplace, and you would literally be set up for the rest of your career. That's how important gaining this piece is. Doug, you were next up. And then Client, you're next.
That's why we have to hear lead gen over and over and over again, because none of us really want to do it until you start getting good at it. Then it gets fun, doesn't it? Situational awareness. Don, I was on the phone call with a Zoom call with Don the other day, and he was talking about Dream 100. Who are the top 100 people that you want to be in business with? This is building situational awareness on purpose. you are where you are in your life and have relationships with people that are either helping you or dragging you down. And for instance, one of the people that I really wanted in my life was Mark Hairston. He's a fantastic lender, and he has relationships with other people in other industries that help him in his business. He's consistently looking for those people that are in the community that have knowledge that we don't have, and gets them in front of realtors to help us be better at what we do. There is a very key person in my world right there, and he's not a realtor. I was in a restaurant the other day with an extremely good waiter who started picking on my client because my client needed to be picked on. It was a lot of fun. This was a guy who was way above the level of a waiter. Recognizing talent around us is another thing. And bringing out that idea of getting into places of recognizing these Dream 100 people that we need to tie with is a big deal of situational awareness.
Well, and I really appreciate it as we improve that situational awareness, talent will just magically show up, like that waitress. I've got a buddy of mine in this company that 25 years ago had a great waitress and said, I want to hire you. And she's been with him 25 years running his operation because his RAS was turned on. His situational awareness was increased. Client, and then Carrie, what do you got?
So going really quickly back to page 93, something that I like this, and I do this every once in a blue moon, I need to do it more often. The book said, hey, put the book down for a moment, identify everything blue in your surroundings. So as we go through this thing that we go through every morning, I always try to leave with something that I can implement. Because if I don't, then it just becomes a theoretical session. And so I did that. And I counted multiple things around my room that I never thought about before. Okay. And I said, well, what about green? And I looked around and I did that. Oh, wow, I didn't notice that before. That aspect of me saying I did not notice means a new script for my brain that says, hey, just want to let you know, I'm categorizing this. So let's look at customers, for example. Coach was talking about, looking at people. You're driving down the street and we all pass moving trucks, right? I have literally seen a moving truck go this way, and I have done a U-turn and tracked down that moving truck and talked to them and said, where are you going? Because I want to know, right? Because if I didn't do that and I keep on going, that means that I have allowed that thing to pass right by and I have not been situationally aware.
Keep that RAS open for those opportunities. Carrie, bring us home.
I was just going to say that while I'm in conversations or meeting people and talking or whatever, I am always thinking and looking and taking in people's behaviors, their patterns, their soft skills, whatever, in my head, and always looking to see, hey, is this a person that I'd want to work with? Is this a person that could fill my weaknesses in order to have my team or to do well? So I know I know that might seem odd to some, but I'm always looking, and I'm always thinking about, that. So I don't know if that's situational awareness exactly, but every person I talk to, I'm thinking about that.
No, that is absolutely situational awareness right there in the moment. So let's be situationally aware today. I went 2 minutes over. Apologize for that. We have Wired Wednesdays with Maria, 1 to 2 Central, right in this room. Get help with your KV core. Show up, plug in. A lot of times only 1 or 2 people shows up and they get a private coaching session and an hour of actually working on your database. How many of you have truly worked on improving your database for 50 hours? if you just showed up with Maria on Wednesdays for that 1 hour for the next 12 months, that's what you would do. All right. And then back in here for conversation time. Danny, thank you for saying you'll be there. Guys, thanks for all being here. And we will see you later today in conversation time, as well as tomorrow for another Mindset Mastermind.